The conference room on the 29th floor was nothing like the spaces Khloe was used to. Everything gleamed, the mahogany table, the leather chairs, the floor-to-ceiling windows that made the city look like a toy model far below. A laptop sat at one end of the table, already open to her Lux campaign files. James stood by the windows, phone pressed to his ear, his back to her. "I don't care if the Singapore office is uncomfortable with the timeline, Marcus. Make it work." He ended the call and turned, those gray eyes sweeping over her with clinical detachment. "Seat." Not "good morning." Not "how are you." Just a command, delivered like she was an employee and nothing more. Which she was. The contract she'd signed made that abundantly clear. Khloe took a seat, pulling out her own laptop. Professional. She could do professional. "Walk me through your strategy," James said, taking the chair directly across from her. Close enough that she could smell his cologne again. Far enough that they weren't breaking any rules. She opened her revised presentation, the one she'd worked on until 3 in the morning. The core issue with the original campaign was execution, not concept. "I've identified 3 primary weaknesses." 4, he interrupted. "The budget allocation is inefficient. You're overspending on traditional media when your target demographic lives online." "I was getting to that. Get to it faster. I don't have time for preamble." Khloe bit back a sharp response. Yesterday she'd challenged him and it had worked. Today that same approach would probably get her thrown out. "Fine. I've restructured the budget to prioritize digital platforms. 70% social media and influencer partnerships, 20% experiential marketing, 10% traditional media for brand legitimacy." James leaned back, fingers steepled under his chin. "Better. Show me the influencer list." She pulled it up, watching his face for any reaction. There was none. He scrolled through the names with the same expression he'd probably use reviewing quarterly earnings. "Sophia Chen, good. Marcus Raymond, acceptable. This one," he pointed to a name halfway down, "is currently embroiled in a scandal involving tax evasion. Remove her." "I didn't know." "You should have. Due diligence, Miss Parker. Every person associated with this campaign reflects on Glover Industries. Research them thoroughly or don't include them at all." Heat crept up her neck. "Understood. And this budget line for creative development, what exactly does that entail?" For the next 2 hours, he dissected every element of her campaign with surgical precision. Nothing escaped his scrutiny. The color palette was too trendy and would date quickly. The tagline was clever but not memorable. The rollout timeline was too aggressive given manufacturing constraints she hadn't considered. By 10:30, Khloe's carefully rebuilt confidence was in tatters. "This isn't working," James said finally, closing his laptop. Her stomach dropped. "Give me another day. I can fix." "I'm not terminating the project. I'm saying your approach isn't working. You're trying to refine a fundamentally flawed framework instead of rebuilding from the ground up." "The framework isn't flawed. The research supports every strategic decision. The research is fine. Your understanding of luxury brand positioning is what's lacking." He stood, moving to the windows. "Glover Industries isn't trying to be trendy. We're trying to be aspirational. There's a difference." "I know the difference. Do you?" He turned, and for the first time that morning, something other than cold professionalism flickered in his eyes. "Tell me, Miss Parker, what do you think luxury means?" Felt like a test. Everything with James Glover felt like a test. "Exclusivity," Khloe said carefully. "Quality. Heritage. Something not everyone can have." "Wrong." He moved closer, his intensity filling the space between them. "Luxury is transformation. It's not about having something others don't. It's about becoming someone you weren't. When someone buys a Glover Industries product, they're not buying cosmetics. They're buying the promise of becoming the person they want to be." Despite her frustration, Khloe found herself leaning forward. "So the campaign shouldn't focus on the products themselves. The campaign should focus on the transformation. The products are simply the vehicle." Something almost like approval crossed his face. "You're starting to understand." Then let me rebuild it. Give me 3 more days.
No.
He returned to his seat, but this time he sat at the corner of the table, closer to her. We'll rebuild it together. Starting now. The word together sent an unwelcome shiver down her spine. I thought I was supposed to be working independently. I thought so too, but clearly you need guidance. His eyes held hers. Unless you'd prefer to go back to fetching coffee? No, she said quickly. Too quickly. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Then pull up your target demographic analysis. They worked through lunch. James ordered food, expensive salads from a restaurant Khloe couldn't pronounce, without asking what she wanted. But when it arrived, he'd somehow known she was vegetarian. How did you? She started. Employee files, he said, not looking up from his laptop. I review everyone who works directly with my office. Allergies, dietary restrictions, work history, education, parking violations. Parking violations? 1. Last year. Expired meter. Now he did look up, and there was definitely amusement in those gray eyes. You were late to work because you drove around for 20 minutes looking for legal parking instead of just paying for a garage. Parking garages are expensive, and parking tickets aren't, despite everything. The tension, the exhaustion, the impossible situation she'd created. Khloe laughed. Okay, point taken. For just a second, his expression softened. Then he seemed to catch himself, the mask sliding back into place. Eat. We have 4 more hours of work. By 3 o'clock, they'd completely restructured the campaign. The new tagline, Become Extraordinary. The visual approach. Before and after storytelling that focused on confidence and transformation rather than just physical appearance. The influencer strategy. Real people with real transformation stories, not just celebrities with perfect faces. It was brilliant, and Khloe hated that she needed James to see it. This works, he said, reviewing their notes. This could actually work. Could. She raised an eyebrow. That's the best I'm getting? I don't give praise for doing your job adequately, Miss Parker. I expect excellence as the baseline. And if I achieve excellence? His eyes met hers, and the temperature in the room seemed to spike. Then maybe I'll say please when I tell you to do something. The comment should have annoyed her. Instead, it made her pulse quicken in a way that was absolutely inappropriate for a professional setting. Khloe stood abruptly, needing distance. I should go. I'll have the revised mock-ups ready by tomorrow morning. Sit down. We're not finished. We've been working for 7 hours. And we'll work for 7 more if that's what it takes. But his tone had shifted slightly. Less command, more concern. When did you eat last? Besides the salad. I had coffee this morning. His jaw tightened. That's not food. I was nervous. I don't usually. She stopped, realizing what she'd admitted, that he made her nervous, that this morning had felt like walking into a lion's den. James stood, closing the distance between them in 3 strides. Miss Parker. His voice was quieter now, dangerous in a different way. If we're going to work together, you need to take care of yourself. I can't have my people collapsing from exhaustion or malnutrition. I'm not your people. I'm your temporary project. You're both. He was close enough now that she had to tilt her head back to maintain eye contact. And for the next 2 weeks, your well-being is my responsibility. I can take care of myself. Can you? His gaze dropped to her hands, and she realized they were shaking slightly. From low blood sugar or his proximity, she wasn't sure. Go home. Eat a real meal. Sleep. Tomorrow we tackle the visual mock-ups. Khloe should have left. Should have grabbed her laptop and escaped before something dangerous happened. Instead, she heard herself say, Why are you doing this? Doing what? This. Giving me this chance. You could have fired me yesterday and forgotten I existed. She took a breath. Why didn't you? James was silent for a long moment, his expression unreadable. When he finally spoke, his voice was carefully controlled. Because you reminded me of something I'd forgotten. What? That fear of failure is more dangerous than failure itself. He stepped back, creating safe distance between them. Peterson killed your campaign because he was afraid to take a risk. Most people in this building operate from that same fear. They make safe choices, conservative decisions, and wonder why they never achieve anything exceptional. And I'm not afraid? Oh, you're terrified. His eyes locked on hers. But you do it anyway. That's the difference. Something warm unfurled in her chest. Something that had nothing to do with attraction and everything to do with being seen. Really seen. Thank you, she said softly. Don't thank me yet. I'll work you harder than anyone you've ever worked with. I'll critique every decision, question every choice, and accept nothing less than your absolute best. He moved back to his desk, the moment broken. And if you fail, I'll terminate you without hesitation. I know. Do you? He looked up, and there was something almost like regret in his eyes. I don't give second chances, Miss Parker. Yesterday was an anomaly. Don't expect another one. The words should have stung. Instead, they felt like a warning, like he was trying to protect her from something, or maybe protect himself. I'll see you tomorrow, Khloe said, gathering her things. 8 a.m. 7. We lost time today with basic restructuring. Tomorrow we hit the ground running. Of course. 7 it is. She made it to the elevator before her phone buzzed. Unknown number, but she knew who it was now. And Miss Parker? What happened yesterday in this office, we don't discuss it. We don't reference it. We pretend it never occurred. Understood? Her finger hovered over the keyboard. She should agree. Should confirm that yes. They'd both made a mistake and it was better forgotten. Instead, she typed, "We can pretend all you want. Doesn't make it less real." She hit send before she could reconsider, then immediately regretted it. Too bold. Too honest. Exactly the kind of thing that would... Her phone buzzed. You're playing a dangerous game. You started it. And I'm ending it. 7 a.m. Don't be late. The car ride home felt longer than the morning trip. Khloe stared out the window, watching the city blur past, and tried to process everything that had happened. One day. She'd survived one day working directly with James Glover, and it had been exhilarating and exhausting in equal measure. But it was the moments in between, the almost smile, the concern about her eating, the way he'd looked at her when he'd talked about fear and failure. Those were the moments that terrified her. Because the contract had been very clear. Professional only. No breaches. No complications. And she was already feeling things that were decidedly unprofessional. Christina was home when Khloe arrived, sprawled on their second-hand couch with takeout containers. You're alive. I was starting to wonder if Glover had you chained to a desk somewhere. Close. Khloe collapsed beside her, stealing a spring roll. 7 hours of the most intense work session of my life. And? How is he? Is he as terrifying as the rumors say? More. Less. Different. He's exacting. Brilliant. Impossible to impress. She paused. And he kissed me yesterday. Christina's jaw dropped. I'm sorry, what? In his office. After I pitched the campaign. It just happened. Oh my God. Khloe. That's insane. That's incredible. That's a massive mistake that can never happen again. Khloe finished. I signed a contract. Strictly professional or I'm fired. But you want it to happen again. It wasn't a question. Did she? Yes. God, yes. That kiss had been seared into her brain, replaying at the worst possible moments. The way he'd grabbed her hair. The desperate intensity of his mouth on hers. The sound he'd made like he was losing control for the first time in his life. What I want doesn't matter, Khloe said. This is my career. My one shot to prove I belong in this industry. I'm not throwing that away for what? A chance with a billionaire CEO who apparently can't keep his hands off you. He can keep his hands off me just fine. Today was completely professional. Cold, even. Christina studied her. And that's what you want? Cold and professional. No, but it was what she needed. I need to focus on the campaign. 2 weeks to make it perfect. That's all that matters. Sure, Christina said, clearly not believing a word. And when those 2 weeks are up, when the campaign is launched and you've proven yourself, what happens then? Khloe didn't have an answer, hadn't let herself think that far ahead. Because the contract ended in 2 weeks, yes. But so did her access to James Glover. After that, she'd go back to being a marketing assistant on the 15th floor, and he'd go back to being an untouchable CEO 29 floors above her. Unless the campaign succeeded. Unless she proved herself valuable enough to keep around. Or unless whatever was burning between them finally ignited and consumed them both. I don't know, she admitted. But I need to survive the next 2 weeks first. That night, she dreamed of gray eyes and dangerous promises. Woke at 5 a.m. with her heart pounding and the sheets tangled around her legs. She gave up on sleep and spent the next hour refining mock-ups, channeling all that restless energy into work. At 6:30, her phone buzzed. The car is downstairs. I'm having it pick you up early. We need to discuss something before the day starts. Khloe's stomach dropped. That sounded ominous. She threw on clothes. Black pants, burgundy blouse, hair down this time because she'd slept on it wet and it refused to cooperate, and rushed downstairs. The car ride to Glover Industries took 15 minutes. 15 minutes of growing dread. What needed discussing? Had he changed his mind about the campaign? About her? Had someone seen them yesterday? The executive floor was quieter at 6:45. Most of the staff hadn't arrived yet. James's office door was open, light spilling into the hallway. He stood at his desk, jacket already off, sleeves rolled up to his elbows. He looked up when she entered, and his expression was grave. Close the door. Oh God, this was it. He was firing her. Khloe closed the door with shaking hands. If this is about my text last night, it's not about the text. He moved around the desk, and she noticed he had a tablet in his hand. Though we will discuss boundaries later, this is about something more immediate. He held out the tablet. It was a gossip blog, the kind that specialized in corporate drama and executive scandals. And there, on the front page, was a headline that made her blood run cold. Glover Industries CEO caught in compromising position with junior employee. Below it, a photo. Grainy, taken from a distance, but unmistakably them. In his office. The angle suggested it was taken from the building across the street. And while the kiss itself wasn't visible, the body language was damning. Her hands in his hair, his hand on her hip, their bodies pressed together. Oh my God, Khloe whispered. The article goes live in 3 hours, James said, his voice eerily calm. I've had my legal team working on suppression, but the blog is based overseas. They're outside our jurisdiction. This will destroy me. She couldn't look away from the photo. My career is over. Not if we control the narrative. She looked up sharply. What? James set down the tablet, his gray eyes hard with determination. We don't deny it. We don't hide it. We own it. Own what? A professional misconduct scandal? No. He stepped closer, and she saw something calculating in his expression. Something that made her pulse spike for entirely new reasons. We tell them you're my fiancé. The world seemed to tilt. You're what? Think about it. A secret workplace romance is scandalous. But a genuine relationship between two consenting adults, one that's progressed to engagement, that's a love story. The media eats that up. You want to fake an engagement. I want to protect both of our reputations and salvage this campaign in the process. He was in full CEO mode now, strategizing like this was just another business problem. The article goes live at 10. We get ahead of it. Issue a statement at 9:30 announcing our engagement. Stage a few photos. Commit to the story for 6 months. Long enough for the gossip to die down. Then we have a quiet, mutual breakup. This is insane. This is damage control. He caught her chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. I'm offering you a choice, Miss Parker. We can let this article destroy both of our careers. Yes, mine too, because the board will crucify me for this, or we can turn it into something manageable. Something we control. Khloe's mind raced. This couldn't be happening. 24 hours ago, she'd been a nobody marketing assistant. Now she was staring down a scandal that could ruin everything she'd worked for. "Why would anyone believe we're engaged?" she asked. "We barely know each other. We've known each other long enough for you to impress me with your work. Long enough for me to recognize your potential. Long enough for a powerful attraction to develop." His thumb brushed her jawline, deliberate, calculated, but her body responded anyway. The story writes itself. Ambitious young professional catches the eye of a demanding CEO. Workplace attraction turns into something deeper. We've been hiding it out of concern for appearances, but recent events have forced our hand. And the campaign continues. You'll be working directly with me anyway. This gives us a built-in explanation for your sudden elevation. He released her chin, stepping back. Think strategically. This solves multiple problems simultaneously. It also creates new ones. Like what happens when we break up? People will say, "I slept my way to the top." Let them. By then, the Lux campaign will have launched. Your work will speak for itself. You'll have a track record of success that has nothing to do with our relationship. She wanted to argue, wanted to find a flaw in his logic. But the terrifying thing was, it made sense. A scandal would destroy them both. An engagement would neutralize the threat. Except, why would you do this? Khloe demanded. Risk your reputation, your privacy, all of it. Just to protect me? Something flickered across his face. Quickly suppressed, but she caught it. I'm not just protecting you.
I'm protecting Glover Industries.
A CEO embroiled in a harassment scandal, because that's how this will be painted, damages the company's stock value, reputation, and business relationships. An engagement is a calculated business decision. You're lying. His eyes narrowed. Excuse me? That's not the whole truth. You could throw me under the bus. Claim I came on to you. Fire me and make it my problem. She moved closer, calling his bluff. But you're not. Why? The silence stretched between them, charged with tension. Because I don't sacrifice my people to save myself, he said finally. And whether you like it or not, you became my responsibility the moment I gave you this opportunity. It wasn't a declaration of feelings. It wasn't even particularly warm. But coming from James Glover, it felt like something more. How would this work? She heard herself ask. Logistics. His shoulders relaxed fractionally. We issue a joint statement in 3 hours. My PR team is already drafting it. You'll move into my penthouse, separate bedrooms, but we need to be seen as living together. We'll attend events together, be photographed together, sell the story. For 6 months. Minimum. We can extend if needed, or end early if the situation stabilizes sooner. And the contract? The professional boundaries clause. A muscle ticked in his jaw. Becomes void. We'll draft a new agreement specific to this arrangement. What about us? The question came out barely above a whisper. Do we just ignore what happened yesterday? We use it. His voice dropped, turning rough. The attraction is real. That makes the lie easier to sell. But we don't act on it. This stays fake, Miss Parker. No matter what the media believes, no matter what our families think, no matter what it looks like, we both know the truth. This is a business arrangement with an expiration date. She should feel relieved. Instead, disappointment curled in her stomach. I need guarantees, Khloe said, forcing her brain back online. In writing, that my career advancement is based on merit. That when this ends, I'm not punished for it. That my lawyers will draft everything. You'll have full legal protection. He checked his watch. But I need your answer now. We have 2 hours and 47 minutes before this goes public. 2 hours to decide if she was willing to become a billionaire's fake fiancé. To move into his penthouse, play a role, lie to everyone she knew. 2 hours to decide if she was brave enough or crazy enough to tie herself to James Glover in the most public way possible. One condition, she said. Name it. We do this, we do it right. No half measures. If we're going to convince people we're engaged, we have to be convincing. That means you don't get to treat me like an employee in public and a stranger in private. It means you actually act like you care about me. Something dark flashed in his eyes. That won't be difficult. The admission hung between them, loaded with implication. Then yes, Khloe said, before she could talk herself out of it. I'll be your fake fiancé. James exhaled, and she realized he'd been tense, uncertain of her answer. Smart choice, or the dumbest decision of my life. I'll let you know in 6 months. The corner of his mouth lifted, almost a smile. Fair enough. He pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. I'm having my assistant bring you to wardrobe. You'll need appropriate clothing for the announcement photos. Wardrobe? You have a wardrobe? I have resources. Use them. He looked up, and his expression was pure business again. In 1 hour, we'll do a photo shoot. Candid shots in my office by the windows, looking appropriately in love. My PR team will release them with the statement. Then we face the media together. I've never done a press conference. You won't have to speak. Just stand beside me. Look happy. Let me handle the questions. He moved closer, adjusting her collar with practiced ease. And Miss Parker? From this moment on, when we're in public, you call me James. Not Mr. Glover. Not Sir. James. Hearing his first name felt strangely intimate. James, she tested. His eyes darkened. Again. James. Better. His hands lingered on her shoulders for a moment too long. Then he stepped back, professional distance restored. Go. My assistant is waiting outside. I'll see you in an hour. Khloe made it to the door before turning back. James? He looked up from his phone. Yes. Thank you. For not throwing me to the wolves. His expression softened almost imperceptibly. Don't thank me yet. The wolves are just getting started. The next hour passed in a blur. James's assistant, a terrifyingly efficient woman named Victoria, whisked her to a room Khloe didn't know existed. Racks of designer clothing in her exact size. A hair and makeup team that descended like highly skilled locusts. How do you have my sizes? Khloe asked as Victoria held up an elegant navy dress. Mr. Glover is thorough. Victoria's expression revealed nothing. He had your measurements pulled from HR records this morning. Of course he did. They dressed her in the navy dress, sophisticated but not too formal. Did her makeup natural but polished. Styled her hair in loose waves that looked effortless but probably took 15 minutes to achieve. When Khloe looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked like someone who belonged on a billionaire's arm. Perfect, Victoria declared. He's waiting. The photographer was already set up in James's office when she returned. And James, God, he changed into a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His hair was slightly mussed, like he'd run his fingers through it. And when he saw her, something flashed in his eyes. Something that made her breath catch. Miss Parker, he said, his voice formal for the photographer's benefit. You look beautiful. Thank you. She forced herself to move into the room, hyper-aware of the camera already clicking. Let's start with something simple, the photographer said. Mr. Glover, if you could stand by the windows. Miss Parker, join him. We want this to look natural. Like I've caught you in a private moment. Khloe moved to James's side. He immediately wrapped an arm around her waist, pulling her close. She stiffened. Relax, he murmured, his mouth near her ear. This is what couples do. We're not a couple. For the next 6 months, we are. His hand tightened on her hip. Now smile like you're happy to be here. She did. Mostly because the alternative was crying, and that wouldn't photograph well. For the next 30 minutes, they posed. His hand on her back, her hand on his chest, standing close enough to breathe each other's air, looking at each other like they were the only two people in the world. And the terrifying thing? It didn't feel entirely fake. One more, the photographer said. Mr. Glover, could you, yes, like that? Miss Parker, look up at him. Perfect. James's hand came up, cupping her face. His thumb traced her cheekbone, and his eyes, God, his eyes held something that looked dangerously real. This is going to work, he said softly, meant only for her. Trust me. I don't have much choice. You always have a choice. You chose this.
No.
You cornered me into this. His thumb brushed her lower lip, and she saw the photographer's camera flash frantically. If you truly didn't want this, you would have said no. You're many things, Miss Parker, but you're not a coward. Before she could respond, before she could think, he kissed her. Not like yesterday. This was softer, gentler. A kiss for the cameras that somehow felt more dangerous than the desperate one in his office. When he pulled back, she was breathing hard. Perfect, the photographer said. These are going to be stunning. James released her, stepping back into professional distance. Thank you. Send the files to Victoria within the hour. As the photographer packed up, Khloe tried to steady her racing heart. This was fake. All of it was fake. The photos, the engagement, the tenderness in his eyes, calculated performance for a camera. So why did it feel so real? Ready? James asked, offering his arm. For what? To meet the press. To officially become my fiancé. His gray eyes held hers. To change everything. She took his arm, feeling the solid warmth of him beneath expensive fabric. As ready as I'll ever be. They walked toward the elevator together, toward the press conference, toward the lie that would bind them together for the next 6 months. And Khloe couldn't shake the feeling that she'd just made a deal with the devil himself. The elevator doors closed, and James's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. What? Khloe asked. The blog moved up their timeline. The article just went live. Her stomach dropped. But we haven't made the announcement yet. Which means we're about to walk into a room full of journalists who think they're covering a scandal. His arm tightened around her waist. Stay close to me. Don't answer any questions. And whatever happens in that room, don't let go of my hand. The elevator descended, carrying them toward a future neither of them had planned. The scandal just went public, and Khloe and James are about to face the media storm together. Will their fake engagement be enough to save them both? Or will the truth destroy everything? Subscribe to Urban Folks TV so you don't miss episode 3, where the real game begins. Drop a comment telling me if you think they can pull this off, and hit that like button if you're already obsessed with this dangerous arrangement. Episode 3 is coming soon, and trust me, things are about to get a whole lot more complicated.